The RPG genre is stagnating. The mid-90s saw a surge of creativity emerge, with Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy IV pioneering not only a genre, but the way we digest and enjoy storytelling in video games. Since then, the RPG has failed to evolve, more content with retrograding themselves or ditching turn-based content entirely before jumping into bed with the action-heavy behemoth games that dominate the sales charts. So you see, Child of Light, it's a rare and refreshing injection of life and colour into a genre that was in danger of becoming all but defunct, and if nothing else, Child of Light is proof that the presentation and emotion of a world can still be this engaging. It's a small step forward for the RPG, but an integral one. The creative force behind Child of Light is Ubisoft Montreal. Now that's the same team that developed Far Cry 3. Artistically, the two games couldn't be more contradictory, and it's a credit to the team that Child of Light feels so authentic. The RPG elements are standard, and clearly influenced by the 16-bit era of side-scrolling role-playing games. Much has been made of the game's art direction, and it's every bit as accomplished as build. The UbiArt framework fitting beautifully with the narrative, a simple tale of a girl lost in a strange world. As with all RPGs, no matter how great the world and its characters are, everything hinges on a combat. And thankfully, in Child of Light, the combat systems are fantastic. Unlike other turn-based games, this rarely gives you a time to catch your breath. Players will be constantly juggling between the members of their party, hurting enemies and healing themselves up, while sending Inculus, Aurora's glowing companion, roaming between the enemies to hinder their progress towards the next movesets. Fights quickly become complex, with many different strategies in play and tactics to maintain, but the net systems never feel overwhelming. That said, despite its complexity, it isn't the most challenging game in the world. In fact, once you start to level up and get through to the third of the game, it really does become quite easy to fall into a fairly standard procedure of your moveset, and that's a shame because everything else in the game feels so deftly considered and deftly designed. But that's not a negative. As said, the world of Child of Light is so unbelievably gorgeous and its characters so endearing that you will continuously seek out more fights just to, involve yourself more in this UbiArt framework, world. There's scope to improve for a future installment, but it's a good start. The combat systems are also complemented by more intricate platforming sections. Stats you achieve from in-battle rewards have no effect on overworld navigation, so once you achieve the power of flight for Aurora, the world becomes your oyster. Rarely will a level operate only on one horizontal plane. The most enrapturing part of Child of Light is the exploration you'll do through its wonderful hand-painted world. Despite its creativity and its ambition, there are some areas of Child of Light that fall short. The biggest creative facet that didn't really pay off is the poetic inclination of the game. Which is to say, well, the entire game is written in rhyme. It's not even consistently condensed rhyme either. It's very arrhythmic and immersion breaking, to be completely honest, and a lot of the time it does just feel a bit forced and unnatural, and while we appreciate what Ubisoft Montreal were trying to do here, it does just fall flat more often than not. And you know what, it is a shame because the game does spin quite an eloquent and unique story, an introspective rabbit hole adventure through a world reminiscent of something like Carol's Alice in Wonderland and Neil Gaiman's Stardust. This is an RPG with its French-Canadian roots on show, a spectacular and unique amalgam of genres and ideas that create something we really think any RPG fan ought to experience. In a time when all the best RPGs have seen releases on Vita and PS3, Child of Light is a unique and much needed adventure across the Xbox platform. That's why we've given it an 8 out of 10.